Hey guys, welcome to Bible study this week here at JSAW. We have been studying through who is God. Each week we've been looking at a different attribute of who God is. And before we dive into our text this week, I want you to picture an old couple that has been married for 35 years. And they are so in love with each other. They have been committed to each other, devoted to each other. They love each other. They're like the perfect, sweetest old couple that you've ever met. They're more in love with each other than ever. And then the husband in this relationship, he meets a guy down the street and they start playing pickleball together and spending a lot of time together. In fact, he's gone most days of the week hanging out with his new buddy, right? And it starts to eat up his time that he spends with his wife. And so she starts to feel jealous. Now, most of the time, jealousy is seen as a bad thing in our culture, but it can also actually be a good thing. Jealousy is a natural feeling, and it can be an appropriate and righteous emotion. So she deserves her husband's time, his love, his attention. She deserves all of those things because they're married. Jealousy defined is this, okay? It's a strong desire to maintain relational faithfulness that does belong to you. Jealousy is a strong desire to maintain relational faithfulness that does belong to you. So they're married, and faithfulness in their relationship is deserved, it's required, it's appropriate, and it's right. Jealousy is different from envy. Envy is a strong desire to get something that does not belong to you. So imagine like being envious of the neighbor's new car or that cute girl giving a lot of attention to some other guy, right? Those are things that do not belong to you. Her attention, the neighbor's car, those don't belong to you. And so you are envious of those things. And envy is wrong. Envy is sinful. But marriage is a covenant relationship where both of you have committed to love, to time, and devotion to each other, right? And jealousy actually helps to protect that relationship. Jealousy, it can become sinful if it's unwarranted or if it's expressed in wrong ways like manipulation or controlling and being abusive. What does all this have to do with who God is? Well, Exodus chapter 34, we're going to be reading through verses 10 through 14 this week. But God is defining his covenant relationship with Israel. And he requires that his people worship no other gods. So in verse 14 it actually says, "Do not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God." So God deserves our worship. Him and him alone. Like he deserves all of our worship. He deserves all the honor and praise. And his jealousy protects that. Our worship of him alone is warranted, it's deserved, and it's required because of who God is. God is not insecure, he's not abusive, he's not being manipulative. God is holy, he's perfect, he's sovereign over everything. He deserves all the honor, all of the praise. He deserves our worship. So it's like if you went out to a contest and you scored perfect tens, clearly won the contest, but everyone gave the reward and the praise to somebody else. You'd have every right then to feel jealous because you won, clearly. God won. God deserves all glory. God deserves all worship, all praise, because God has won. So God's jealousness for all of the glory, the worship, the praise, is right. If we worship anything else, anything other than God, God is jealous, and we are wrong. So God is rightfully jealous because he deserves all of our worship. So that's this week's Bible study. God is jealous for all of our worship and our praise. So let's give that to him. And I'll see you next week.